Obesity is one of the leading preventable causes of death worldwide, causing over 2.5 million deaths each year. And according to the Overseas Development Institute, obesity even affects the developing world, and it's quadrupled there in the past 30 years, now affecting about 1 billion people. We're all aware of the need to watch our weight, eat and exercise sensibly, and develop a healthy lifestyle. Well, while that's true of our physical weight, it's a different story when it comes to risk. Like its physical counterpart, risk obesity is very common right across the world, affecting all countries and all industry sectors. Risk obesity happens when an organisation takes on too much risk as a result of uncontrolled risk appetite. This can affect the entire business if senior managers take strategic risks that are more than the organisation can cope with. Risk obesity can also occur at project level, when a particular project is carrying levels of risk that are too high. We need to take the right amount of risk, the amount that we can digest and deal with effectively. But there's a problem with diagnosing risk obesity. How much risk is too much risk? The amount of risk that's right for any particular business or project will vary, depending on their size, their maturity, and their ability to handle risk effectively. So, before we can know if we actually are risk obese, there are 3 questions we have to answer. First, what is our risk capacity? How much risk can we cope with before we start to get into trouble? Next, what is our risk appetite? How much risk do we want to take on in pursuit of our goals? And last, what is our risk exposure? How much risk are we currently facing? If we don't know the answers to these questions, we're likely to take on more risk than we can handle, leading to inevitable problems in our business and projects. Carrying excessive risk exposure will make us inflexible and slow to react when new risks arise. And if our risk management system is already overloaded with too many risks, new risks won't get the attention and action they deserve. So more threats will turn into problems that we could have avoided, and we'll miss opportunities that we could have captured. People managing high levels of risk also get very stressed, which leads to poor decision-making and preventable mistakes. Morale and productivity suffer, and working relationships become strained. In the worst case, risk obesity can be fatal to an organisation or a project if their risk exposure becomes overwhelming. There is a short-term treatment for risk obesity involving reduction of risk exposure by de-risking our business and projects until we reach a target level of acceptable risk exposure. In the longer term, we need to change our risk-taking habits with a more balanced risk diet supported by a clear understanding of our risk appetite. So, if your project or business is risk obese, don't despair. By regulating your risk intake and carefully managing your risk-taking behaviour, it's possible to reach your target level of healthy risk exposure and to stay there. You've heard a little about one of these risk ailments, but in fact there are 10. To explore this ailment in greater detail, why not invite me to speak at your conference or in-house event, or read my book, or engage the Risk Doctor Partnership for consultancy support. The other risk ailments are introduced in the rest of the videos in this series, with full details in the book.